Have you ever looked at an old photograph and felt something looking back? Not just a face, but a presence. That's how I first heard about her, the woman in brown. The one who never left Raynham Hall. Raynham Hall sits quietly in Norfolk, England. A grand, dignified house surrounded by mist and silence. The kind of place where you can almost hear the past breathing. It's beautiful, yes, but there's something unsettling in the air. Locals say when night falls and the corridors go still, the brown lady walks again. Her soft footsteps echoing across the oak floors, her hollow eyes searching for the life she lost centuries ago. The story of the Brown Lady begins in the early 1700s with Lady Dorothy Walpole, sister of Britain's first Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole. By all accounts, she was a kind woman, radiant and full of grace. But her life was anything but peaceful. She married Charles Townshend, a man known for his temper and cruelty. And when rumors began, whispers of Dorothy's secret affair, his rage consumed him. Some say he locked her away inside the house. Others claim she died of smallpox. But the most chilling version of all is that she never left Raynham Hall. Years later, guests who stayed at the manor began speaking of strange things. Late at night, they'd hear gentle knocking on their doors. But when they opened them, the hallway was empty. Servants refused to go upstairs after dark. One maid said she saw a woman in an old-fashioned brown gown standing on the staircase. She thought it was a guest until she noticed the face. The eyes, hollow, dark, and glowing with a sadness that didn't belong to the living. The legend might have stayed just that, a ghost story whispered over wine and candlelight, if not for one photograph. In 1936, two photographers from Country Life magazine were taking pictures of Raynham Hall for an article. They set up their camera at the grand staircase. As one of them adjusted the lens, the other froze. "Wait," he whispered. Something was descending the stairs. A shape, a mist. A figure cloaked in pale brown, faint but unmistakable. They pressed the shutter. When the photo developed, the image shocked the world. There, clear as daylight, was the translucent outline of a woman, mid-step, drifting down the staircase. Her face hidden, her form glowing with an eerie, almost golden light. They called her the Brown Lady. Skeptics tried to explain it. Double exposure, dust on the lens, a trick of light. But those who'd seen her in person, they weren't so sure. One military officer, staying overnight in the 1800s, described seeing her appear suddenly at his bedside. He said her face was of a pale, sickly hue, her empty sockets shining where eyes should be. He fired his pistol in terror, but the bullet passed through her, lodging harmlessly in the wall behind. Others spoke of laughter echoing through the corridors, mirrors fogging from invisible breath, and the faint scent of lavender that followed her presence. Even today, the staff at Raynham Hall sometimes hear quiet footsteps at dawn, slow, deliberate, as though someone is pacing the floors of eternity. There's one story I can't shake. A historian once visited the hall for research, a quiet, thoughtful man who didn't believe in ghosts. He spent the night in the west wing, near the old staircase where the photo was taken. At around 3 in the morning, he woke to the feeling that someone was standing at the foot of his bed. He sat up and then saw her. She wasn't terrifying. She wasn't screaming or grotesque. She was just sad, a woman lost in time, staring as if waiting to be remembered. He said her eyes weren't hollow. They were pleading, as if she was asking, "Do you still think I'm just a story?" He never returned to Raynham Hall after that night. But he sent a letter to the estate's keeper, writing only one line: "She is still there." You might wonder why she lingers. Some say she searches for her children, taken from her too soon. Others think she's trapped by guilt or rage or love that death couldn't quiet. But maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe some souls stay because they've been forgotten, because their story has faded, and they need someone, anyone, to remember who they were. So the next time you look at that famous photograph, the ghost descending the staircase, try to see more than a specter. See a woman who once lived, who once laughed, who once felt the warmth of morning sun through her window. And maybe, just maybe, she'll finally rest knowing someone still speaks her name. And if you ever visit Raynham Hall, listen carefully at the staircase, because sometimes, when the wind is quiet, you can still hear the whisper of silk brushing the steps, as the Brown Lady passes by once more.